Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. What's going on, beautiful people? It is November 11th, 2025. It is 11:11, y'all. And I almost didn't jump on to do a message today because I have a lot to get to. And then I sat down just shuffling my cards and realized the date. I'm like, what? Gotta tap into these vibes. Got to. So I was guided properly. And thankfully so. So there are a few things that I want to get to today, a few preview messages by way of the cards and also a channeled song that I'm not going to sing, but is very appropriate. And even my own cards. So I'll tell you in the order that it came to me. So I first shuffled my cards, and Revelation is the message that came, that was shuffled on top, so that's where we landed, Revelation. Now, just for those that don't know, these are my oracle. This is my new oracle deck that hasn't quite been released yet, but it is available for pre-order. If you're interested, you can email me at the address in my description box, and I'll definitely keep you all keen to when it's available for purchase. To be transparent, the only thing that I'm waiting on to at least release this first iteration, even though there may be some tweaks in the future, is the guidebook. Technically, they are ready. I could send it out today, but I want to have that complete package because honestly, that's ultimately what's copywriting the deck, is the guidebook, so that nobody can, swipe my work, if you feel me. So in order to protect my creativity and also to offer the most complete package to you, which is not even necessary for you to have the guidebook. The cards were created in the image of each tarot card, which the bright side is the bright side is the upright of each tarot card, 78 cards in the deck, and then the dark side or black side is more or less the reversal, summarized by myself and what do you call it, designated by myself, and what I channel the energy of the card to be in one word. But it doesn't have to be in connection, of course, to the tarot. The words themselves evoke a message and can guide you, in whatever way the spirit intends to. But for all intents and purposes, I will share that Revelation is also equivalent to the Ace of Swords, okay? So just for a point of reference, the adverse or inverted of that is mystery, all right? Ooh, vitality, beautiful, love that. I love the little peekaboo messages every time too. So take that as you will as well, very strong energy. But Revelation, of course, could be a message. It could be, I'll tell you more about what I was channeling first in terms of news, insight, a message, something being revealed. Perhaps that was hidden or mysterious. You hear the wind. I don't know if you can, but it's been pretty wild. But some clarity, something that could be coming through. But I'll tell you more about that in a second. And so then, no, actually I will now, because I'll go in the order of how it was downloaded. So what I was seeing is that, let me give you the good news first. There is a disbursement, or let's say a dispensation of love, light, liberty, and luxury that is underway. Maybe has already started to trickle its way into your auric field, but certainly like a flow or influx of it, maybe even a flood of it is underway. Now, the breakthrough that I perceived is that it may be coming by way of news that may be challenging. And there could be a range of things, quite honestly, but I definitely saw that there could be some challenging news, maybe even troubling news that comes through, and the breakthrough of it all may even be by way of something that could be, this is not for everybody, but it could be heartbreaking. Or, hold on, hear me out, it could be that receiving such news or information or revelation could be heartbreaking to some, and it may or may not have that effect on you, because the outcome of it all, as what I saw, is that it's actually a breaking through to release this dispensation first and foremost, but also to release whomever relates to this, to move forward, peacefully, without resistance. Like it's the information that may clear up a great deal of mystery or ambiguity or open-ended questions, or just there's some piece of information or news that is needed, understanding perhaps as well, that's needed in order to really allow someone, first and foremost, closure in one season, so that there can be a graceful moving forward in the next, or in the new. Okay, so that's why I said the good news first, because whatever it is, like I said, it could be you hear about a loss and it doesn't necessarily hit you the way that it should, theoretically. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that it it's not unfortunate or it's not sad in nature, but the heartbreaking aspect about it might not actually take effect in your being, although the news itself could be challenging. But the after effect of what is released, or how you are released, is the pivotal piece, of it all. That breakthrough will be worth a million so-called heartbreaks when it all balances out. Okay, it brings healing. I saw the Temperance card. It brings forth healing, balance, again, understanding, understanding, if you like that word better, and just really ground someone to move forward in life in a powerful way. All right, so that's one piece. Okay, then I started shuffling some more, and I started getting another message in, and don't know how the two are connected, if they are, but here it is. Someone has lost and is losing, and lost materially, and they have lost and they are lost, is what I saw by way of the cards. And they're literally stuck in hangman, or like in a really compromising position right now, on account of some actions and ambitions that they devoted themselves to for the purposes of a win, or to be on top. And I'll tell you what I likened it to, or what it was, what it seemed like in a practical sense, but I think it's something much deeper than that spiritually. But what it seemed to be, as if like someone was desperately, and maybe in some ways almost dishonestly, ambitious to beat out the competition in some market, let's just say generally speaking, but I'll give you a specific of how it downloaded as well. But they were trying to beat out the competition by any means necessary, but particularly by attracting, it was like the competition that they pitted themselves against was like an establishment that was that had longevity. So like, imagine a newcomer to a market pitting themselves against an entity, a company, a brand, or whatever the case may be, that's been tried and true, that's been established for years, maybe decades, whatever, that has a trusted customer base, and that is known for its quality in product or service, or whatever it is that they offer. They're established enough that really there is no real competition, but this other entity came along and positioned itself as direct competition by promising more or less the same product, the same results, the same return at half the price, let's say, but less than the cost. And my phone's going off at 12:28. So at a lesser value or lesser cost, but still saying that it's just like that. You know what I mean? You could get the same thing here, maybe even better, and save some money. But the problem is that the problem was, or problem is, wherever we are with this, is that it wasn't the same quality. And it might have been fine if they had been forthcoming with that truth to say, that it's something like it, but it's not exactly it. Then the customer could more or less be prepared not to expect a certain quality, but someone was so ambitious to kind of like, attract, not even just attract their own customer base, because that's one thing, but to literally lure the attraction and the commitment of that customer base of the more established business to themselves, by any means necessary, that they were willing to first of all be dishonest about their value, and misleading, I guess I should say, about their value, and also about what they could promise, like what could be expected, so that when what they did is they did attract that customer base, or a great deal of it, and it may have seemed like a win for quite some time, or for a time. But the thing is, once people started to realize, um, that they were not in fact getting the same quality, and they were not in fact, even though they were paying less, they were actually also getting less. And once you have lost the trust of a certain clientele that is in the market for high quality, it's hard to ever get that back again. You can't regain that trust again, no matter what you say at that point. It's like you kind of have one shot to lose that faith with your customers, or from your customers, and then it's all lost from there. And even for those that, even though the value, the investment was lower, for whatever reason, it makes more sense, especially in the long run, to make the greater investment for longevity and for quality than it does to make the quick or short-term investment, or the lesser investment, the less expensive investment, for what ultimately won't last you very long, or won't be as valuable in the long run. And either the person didn't really calculate that would be ever discovered or revealed, that there's a difference in quality, or that people would notice before they had already been too far invested, or before maybe the more grounded, the originator was put out of business perhaps, and then there was nothing left but the lesser value. Or maybe they thought people would never, really notice, or would value spending less more than they would spending more for quality, so there was just some miscalculations here in some regard. And as I said, once you lose the faith of your customer base, that flow stopped, and then was rerouted back to where there was a trusted source, or where they knew their investment would go a much longer way. So the specific way that I heard it, which is very practical, is like the difference between purchasing like fast fashion. Let's just say, no shade, but I never buy from there and I never will. But purchasing on Shein versus purchasing more or less, let's say, for example purposes, because we know the skirt's been pulled up on designers in the recent year, but designer labels or designer brands. Now, you could probably buy 10 to 20 of what you get at Shein for the price of one garment at a designer, depending on who we're talking about here. But when you really, let's say a black pair of pants, right? Classic piece, and more or less doesn't even have, it's really not that spectacular, but it's a classic staple as far as I'm concerned in your closet. And so you purchased a pair of pants at Shein, again, for probably like 20, 30 bucks. I don't even know, but cheap, I'm sure, considerably. And probably get it in 2 days with free shipping, you know, versus having to actually maybe go to the store, or go to some showroom or design or department store perhaps, and purchase a pair of black pants. Even if you order them, whatever the case may be, first of all, there's going to be less stock of that particular garment, more than likely, than you would at a Shein, which is probably making thousands of maybe tens of thousands of pieces. But you're definitely going to pay a much prettier penny for it. However, over time, under the same care, whether you wash them, dry clean them, what do you think is going to last the test of time in your closet? Definitely not the Shein garment. I don't care what you say. It's always going to be the designer garment that's had the more sustainable fabrics, or more expensive fabrics. Theoretically, again, the more quality construction and seamstress work, design, you know, it'll probably be more timeless and less trendy, perhaps, than the Shein option, because designer brands usually cater more to classic than they do to the trends. So ultimately, you're going to get a lot more wear and a lot less tear in your designer brand than you are on the fast fashion. And you would have ultimately gotten your investment back multiple times fold, just on account of the longevity alone. Okay, so that's where I saw it, and that's where someone, for whatever reason, that was the miscalculation. You know, that there would always be a market for the fast fashion, and maybe there is, but here's the other thing that I heard. It's like, there may still be an existing market for the fast fashion or the quick results at a lesser price and a lesser value, but the quality of the customer that truly desires to have, you know, the more trusted brand, will ultimately be the higher frequency of investment, and them taking their money out of that brand or that entity, whatever it is, and putting it back where it's more well placed. Also, it has an effect on the brand itself, you know, that is more so fixated on quantity than it is quality. So no matter what, it's still a hit to this brand. Whereas this brand that stays stable and committed to their quality, and their intentionality and output, is going to be here, you know, no matter what the influx of customers is. And they're always going to be priced at the value of their worth. So either way, you know, like, lose a couple customers for a couple of years, fine. Like when the veil is lifted, i.e. revelation, and it's known, like, in the long run, it's not worth it to have to keep buying a new pair of pants every season. You're going to come back to where you can probably invest in a good pair, and they last you for years, and you don't even need more than one per se, you know? So there's that. So for those reasons, this entity over here, the lesser quality and lesser value entity, whatever that represents, is kind of stuck, you know, because their reliability on quantity, quantity has dwindled, and that's where they rely most to profit, and they therefore can't really prosper on account of low profits, because they've also lost the faith of their customer base. The customer base that they retained is a cheaper value customer, you know, where they may not even be able to spend the type of capital to offset the losses that have been taken on account of the loss of faith. So someone has lost the competition, and someone is lost because now they don't really know what to do next. They don't know how to rebound from their losses. They don't know how to recoup the loss of faith or the disgrace against their product or their brand. It's like real bad PR that you can't bounce back from, and it may make for a publicity stunt, you know, to have your name circulating, but it's not good publicity. And in this case, you would want to, in this particular case, the light on the news that's being circulated makes all the difference, you know, because it's not just a matter of just clicks and views and people watching or tuning in or just coming to be nosy or whatever. Like, what pays this entity is actually the investments or purchases that are made, and in this case, that's not happening, or it's come to a great stall, or has diminished drastically. Okay, so there's that, right? So then, I start then I start cutting the cards, and what seemed completely unrelatable. Again, I don't know how these things all connect, but I just heard, "If I was you, I wanna be me too. I wanna be me too." And I just started laughing because I really don't. Until I looked it up, I didn't even really know who sang that song. And that's all that I knew of the song, okay? So I was like, oh, let me look that up. So I finished, before that though, I finished cutting the cards, and I looked at the bottom. And this is where we landed. The Empress. If I was you, I want to be me too. And then I really bust out laughing because I'm like, well, that is kind of the energy. I mean, it feels even more like the Queen of Wands to be on that type of vibe, but the Empress definitely has all justification to at least feel that way, you know, at least acknowledge that energy about herself. You know, she definitely has earned the right to sing that song. So of course I went and I looked it up and I listened to the song, but what stuck out the most is the, like, I guess the chorus, or I guess it's the bridge. I don't know what part of this is, but it's, "I thank God every day that I woke up feeling this way, and I can't help loving myself, and I don't need nobody else. If I was you, I wanna be me too. I wanna be me too. I wanna be me too." Insane. Hold on, let me drink some water. So yeah. So that's where we landed, okay? All that to say that this is where we are in this present moment, starting with the Empress. The Empress, the queen bee up in this thing. All right, so with all that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and shuffle. Thank you, lady, for gracing us with your presence. She's been coming out a lot lately, so let's see. With all of the preview that I just shared, let's see what direction the cards lead us. All right, sorry, I'm just itching my eye a little bit, or scratching my eye, or rubbing my eye. All right, and it is like frigidly cold all of a sudden where I am. It's scary. As a matter of fact, it's like my son's birthday brought the winter in or something. I'm like, yo, I ain't ready to be breaking out my winter coat just yet. Like, damn. But it's non-negotiable out there right now. If you can hear the wind, is equally, if not more fiercely cold. As cold as it pipes up again. Here we go. It's like, what this? Gotta break out the scully, the hat. And I know in like more northern East Coasters are already seeing snow, but I don't know, it just feels a little bit early. This early November, we start to kind of go down in temperature, but I don't feel like it's usually winter time yet. It's 44 degrees today. Get into that. All right, and that's the card that I saw about moving forward, you know, moving on after this closure or this breakthrough. It's like this is the piece that you get to see your way to. Yeah, after receiving this message, this revelation, this closure, this information, this news, something that's about to be revealed or unveiled is going to be the perfect send-off, whether that's spiritually or physically. Like, oh, okay. Oh, nah, not the 7. Oh, not somebody scheming and scamming. That's the revelation. And here they go, still trying to make it, still trying to create a disturbance or make waves, so to speak. And they missing the boat. They've missed the boat, or they will miss the boat. It'll already be pulled offshore before someone can really make it to cause any waves at this point. And what they thought would be a disturbance, you know, for the journey, as I said, like, I feel like this is how it kind of comes back around. Like, we know with the 7 of Swords, like, they ultimately get caught in their own mischief. You know, they ultimately do. So it's like, try as they may, and this is a progression, 6 to the 7, something can't be stopped. And it can't be delayed anymore either. Or detoured or rerouted. There's some type of deception here. Like, yeah, almost trying to create a false detour or impose some type of false directions on someone's progression or advancement. Like, no, this is the way. Come this way. I got you. I'm going to show you. Like, they will be leading you straight to hell or to destruction or a dead end. Saw the Hermit earlier too. And they're running away from their own inner self, so they can't direct nobody. Literally. Someone that's not grounded within themselves, like, you can see the evidence more or less of their disarray, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or their own confusion, maybe, imbalance. There's something about and how that Hermit is holding up the light. And Hermits, you know, that's Virgo energy. They usually can zero in on all the imperfections. They see the imperfections in perfection. So it's like somebody's flaws, maybe that's the revelation, like their schemes and their scams are being exposed. So where they may try to pick up and take their show on the road, or to take it to a market that they feel is untapped, back to that frequency, like, oh, well, they don't know about me over here, so I can peddle my goods over here, you know, and it's like a brand new market, or, you know, start to scam or scheme all over again. It's like everywhere somebody goes, there's a spotlight on them, whether they realize it or not. It's like energetic, you know. It could even be in the things that they say that are telling, that are revelatory, to whomever it is they're looking to scam or to mislead, where they have their sales pitch all sewn up. You know, it's very calculated. They got like a planned response, a scripted response for any possible objection or rejection. It's like, well, no, well, how about this? Let me, you know, great salesmen, you know, in the grand scheme of things, but snake oil salesmen, you know, for the most part. And it's like, for whatever reason in this season, even if they try to take their wares and their products to a new market, there's something that's emitting off of them in the light that's being shined upon them, that is like a signal to the unsuspecting. Like, they may not even, it may even sound good, but it'll still have customers like, nah, I'll get back to you, or like, no, I don't think so, not today, or let me think about it, or, you know. And it's like somebody can't seal, you can't, what do you call it? Can't clinch a deal or a sale or whatever to save their lives at this point, because it's something about what, you know, this energy that's emitting from them. And I feel like it's more so in what they're saying. Like, they're used to their sales pitch going over well, maybe perhaps on more unsuspecting individuals in a climate that is not as vital with revelation, where people are not quite as on guard or as poised to resist, you know what I mean? Like, or as discerning, there's the word, like they're not quite as discerning as they are now, where it would have worked before or has worked in the past. People are so much more intentional about how they invest their energy, their time, their money, their resources, their bodies, their space, you know, like their attention even, that it's hard to really pull one over. And where this person may think that they've dotted all their I's and crossed all their T's, like I said, the Hermit it's like they have a blind spot, primarily because there's some internal work that needs to be done here that they're trying to skip out on, which would be the authentic processing, you know. But this isn't somebody that wants to do it that way. So it's like the Hermit is like, you're missing something over here, and they're like, I got it, on to the next, you know. So they're always going to be missing something in their pitch, because there's a key ingredient, which would more or less be the truth, that is omitted here. What is that? Yeah, 5 of Cups. Yep, the Knight of Cups. And it's still like they're still looking to make an offer anyway, you know, like, hold on, let me see what's on the other side of this Knight of Cups. It's like maybe they've tried to change their pitch to something more, they tried to make it more spiritually, like, saturated or something like that, like from more of an emotional aspect, but it's not well evolved, you know. It's like, it's still missing something. It's still missing something. You know, it's like somebody trying to change their slogan or their mission or their intention to engage either a different type of audience or the nature, like this more to appeal to the more emotional or even spiritual nature of their customers, whether the ones they lost or the new ones, you know, trying to switch their pitch. And like I said, it's just still not well thought out. It still feels like underdeveloped, or I don't know how to say it. Like it still feels, it's like when you sense that somebody's trying to butter you up or flatter you or tell you all the things that you want to hear, like to pull on your heartstrings, or maybe even, you know, coming up with some type of like personal story or effect. I think that's one of the ways that you sell. Like when you that's one of the like strategies of like having like a personal story or something attached to your product line, like why you started the business, how it directly, you know, is it like a direct extension of you and your personal experience or something like that. And it kind of creates this sense of relatability and emotional buy-in from whomever can relate, you know, or just feels drawn to it, you know what I mean, intrigued by it maybe, but it feels like manipulation, you know, and that's probably where I'm getting this whole like something that they're saying just isn't really resonating with people. It's like it feels like you're trying to seduce me, or you're trying to play me, or you're trying to not seduce me, but like, well, manipulate, you know, like you're trying to I guess seduce just feels too strong of a word when especially if we're talking in this form of business. I guess manipulation is a thing. Something like that. Something between those energies. But that's what this Knight of Cups is giving me. It's like even some aspects of it might be true, you know what I mean, of whatever it is that they're saying, but it's not being shared nobly, you know, it's not being shared because authentically, yeah, it's like it's not authentic, it's not organic. And with the Seven of Swords, honestly, it may be something that has a true foundation that's either been twisted, or somebody taking a true story and mounting it on themselves as their own, which still is dishonest, but there's some hint of dishonesty about it that is repelling to people, you know, or to potential customers, or you know, those to be influenced by whatever this is. And like I said, like even if it's somebody's sob story, it's like, all right, well, how did that happen, or what did you do, or, you know, maybe even somebody trying to victimize themselves with a sob story that they're passing off as like a personal experience or whatever, but it just feels sappy, you know, like it's just dripping with something that just doesn't taste good, or doesn't feel good on the ears of those that encounter it. All right. A few more and I'm out, yeah. What was that? The Three of Wands. Somebody has great expectations for a return, but I feel like it's more desperation at this point. Like somebody's just kind of throwing a line and fishing for anything, which then goes back to what I was saying. It's like if it's still about quantity, because you're trying to make up that deficit, it's not going to be quality customers or a quality response. You know, it may not even be customers that'll keep coming back like they will for the designer brand or wherever. There's no loyalty there, you know, or devotion. It's just like in and out, or, you know. But somebody's like, all right, any day now, any day, it's going to pay off. I just got to keep throwing out this line, and something's going to catch on at some point, literally a line. something's going to bite at some point. And it's funny, this may be completely unrelatable, but just because I just said throwing out a line and something's going to bite, I've been watching this like Turkish family called a lake Alisi. Their last name, I think the Alik is the name, and Alisi means family apparently in Turkish, which I had to look up, of course. But they just like camp in all these beautiful places with all the spectacular equipment and vessels, like, out in the middle of the ocean with a floating camper, or in the middle of a lake with a floating camper, or in these crazy monstrous snowstorms. But they just have everything figured out, like the most luxurious camping equipment, like everything thought of, how they're gonna cook, stay warm, chop wood. The man is always out kind of, it's a beautiful dance between a husband and wife. Like the woman is usually making the home really like cozy, while the man is like chopping the wood and passing it into her, keeping the space warm. And sometimes she's cooking while he's doing other things to set up, and sometimes he's relaxing while she's cooking, or what. It's like, it's a beautiful dance, again, like this synergy between man and woman, just out in nature doing what they love to do and getting paid for it, clearly, because they have millions of views. But it's such a therapeutic and relaxing sight to watch in so many different ways. But anyway, I just watched a video of them out in the middle of the lake. The one thing that did not intrigue me at all, like I would not be interested in doing this one. You could take me just about any other place that I've seen them go, except for that. They were literally sped out to the middle of a lake, and they had this platform in tow. And the man apparently is an avid fisher, so he was really excited to be able to fish and catch their dinner. But lo and behold, he didn't catch a thing, like not a thing. All day, all night. The next morning, he even threw his line out. He didn't catch a thing. Nothing bit the entire time. He threw out apparently corn is attractive to fish, to like attract them in the water, the scent of it. Nothing. He let the line just sit out there while he did other things. Nothing. Came back the next day. Nothing. Thankfully, the wife had prepared food, extra food, so she cooked that up when they didn't catch anything to cook fresh. But I was kind of disappointed for the man, because I could tell he was a little bit disappointed, like to be a fisherman in that regard, like, or to love fishing and to have such a grand opportunity to do it, and you literally catch nothing and the camera's rolling. Of all the days to not have success in that, right? It just seems interesting. But it's something about that, I guess, that makes sense here. And even the revelation aspect of this exposure, this spotlight, it's like someone is on display, in action of whatever it is that they're ambitious to do. So it's not even like they don't have eyes on. It's like, I don't know, it just feels like they don't even care who's watching. That's why I feel this sense of desperation, because it's like no matter what, they feel like if they just keep throwing it out there, some sucker will bite, no matter what the gossip is about them, what they heard, what the statistics may say, what their business model may, their business, their figures may say. It's like somebody's going to bypass all of that just for the sheer novelty of the idea, or just to be a part, or they feel their tongue is so silver, their pitch is so good, or they're so clever that somebody is going to, they only need one perhaps, or just a few, for somebody to actually invest in them to kind of keep them afloat that much longer, or to subsidize their deficiencies, or not subsidize, but you know what I'm saying, like to supplement like their deficiency or disparity in some way, shape, or form. And it's not really looking good. And even if it is, what it's bringing is bad karma and more misfortune. So that, like I said, even if somebody finds himself in bed with the so-called sucker, you know, or in connection with the sucker, it'll end up being more of a burden than a blessing. You know, like it'll still be some detriment to what they're looking to create. Like it'll backfire in some way, shape, or form. These poppers keep coming in and out. Knight of Wands. Impulsive action. Alright, come on. Give me 2 more so I can check out of here. Oh. 6 of Cups. I did see the 6 of Cups too. That was connected to the revelation though, because I was seeing that, you know, what may be the heartbreaking aspect of whatever this news is like who it's about, or who it's connected to, or who it's coming from. And in this case, it could be someone from the past that would have had some type of emotional value or impacts, like family, friend. You know, it could be coming from a friend or family, or it could be about a friend or family member. It could be a situation that involved you and a friend and family member. Like whatever it is, it's an intimate it's intimate news, which is why it's kind of like, you know, touch and go, or it could go either way as to how it may be received. But like I said, my best bet would be that it wouldn't be quite as devastating as perhaps the nature of it is. You know, it might not be quite as devastating of an effect, I should say, than the nature of it is comprised of or composed to be. So I wouldn't really worry too much. But in terms of, yeah, this Knight of Cups, this could even be this, again, this energy trying to forge, again, this emotional attachment to their message, drudging up the past, or maybe trying to reach back to past connections that have some emotional significance. You know, people that more or less should be able to trust him, or maybe did trust him once upon a time, or would put their trust in him for a particular investment or whatever, or may just even want to support whatever he's doing or whatever, you know, like just naturally. So it feels like this is even like a taking advantage of those connections and relationships, which we know, like I said, everything is like self-destructing, because that type of energy is bound to attract some misfortune, you know, especially if you're looking to prey on innocent people, or people that have some type of trust or faith in you, or did, or should be able to, you know, like vulnerable people in some way, shape, or form. You can't prosper that way. So it's like somebody's just going about this all wrong, ultimately. They've completely bypassed the full stop here to some new strategy that feels like fail-proof. Like, oh, I know they believe in me. I know they're gonna want to see me do well, or see me come back up, or you know, they'll want to help or support or whatever, or they'll buy my story or whatever. Like, it's, even if they do, the karma incurred for that is not even going to be worth it. it won't even be worth it. It won't even be worth the energy that was invested to make that happen. Yep, and here's a magician. Ain't gonna stop them from trying, no. Or it hasn't stopped them from trying. Let me get one more after this magician. Because, you know, for me, that always toes the line between manipulation and manifestation. And it came out in the struggle. It's manipulation to disempower whomever they engage for their own selfish gain. So to entangle unsuspecting or unassuming customers, investors, supporters, with some type of manipulation, some type of lie, story, pitch, strategy, whatever it is, it's for the purposes of exalting themselves and elevating themselves at the cost of someone else's entanglement or degradation, perhaps. And or entrapment. So even if it's in a very primitive sense, like I said, in terms of like a product, which is like the what I bought versus what I got, or what I ordered versus what I got type of thing. You go into it believing the integrity or believing the word of the brand, you know, whatever that is, or the producer, or whatever it is. But what you get in the end is like something you can't even do nothing with. So you pretty much just threw your money away. Like what? Like when you, Temu was another one. I refuse to ever order Temu. When you order stuff and you think it's like full size and it'd be like miniature. And you think you get a full-size chair and it's like a dollhouse chair. Like stupid stuff like that, you know? That type of thing. Like, what am I going to do with this? I don't even have a dollhouse. Just stupid. So, yeah, that's what we're working with here. But no fear, no fret. This type of energy is its own worst enemy. So, you know, of course, there's a prayer of covering and administration of heightened discernment and intuition that I pray is continuing to be ignited in the masses, you know, so that people don't get got when they know better, when they feel better and they feel in, you know, particularly in opposition to an offer or a proposition, that they actually trust themselves to reject it, you know, and that we all trust ourselves to reject it and see the bigger picture and redefine print. Oh yeah, we're in Mercury retrograde. That's right. So somebody could even be hoping that the elements create some type of, you know, the alignments create some type of distortion in understanding or perception, and it works on their behalf. And you know you're gonna get your ass whooped if you're intentionally trying to use celestial bodies and transits to create fuckery, pretty much. Yeah, this ain't the time for that. There is a righteous indignation against deception at this time. And you will be exposed, and it will not be graceful. And of course, for those, and it's for the greater good of all, because then you won't be able to say you didn't know or you didn't see. Now, if you still decide, well, he ain't mean it like that, or I think he has better potential than that. I think he just was a little misguided. He just needs somebody to believe in him or whatever. Like, you can do that if you want, and be a victim of your own I don't even know, sentimentality, I suppose, but you won't have anybody to blame for it. Even that will be self-imposed, and it'll be a matter of your own accountability and responsibility, because once you know, you can't not know. Revelation. And I feel like it's about to be far and wide among us all, and in light of many things that once we see, we will not be able to unsee unless we choose to be blind. So, all right, I'm gonna leave that there. 55:55 on the clock. Yes, 10 of Pentacles, come through. What? And the High Priestess, hunty. Once you know, you cannot know. And knowledge is power, hell, and resources in this day and age. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta use what you know and what's revealed to you. It feels almost like, like an alchemy, an alchemical process here. It's like these revelations can be transmuted into some type of prosperity. Like, you can use this information, there it is, there's the breakthrough, to your advantage, to advance. You can transmute the energy for something particularly powerful that will work in your favor or for your good. Even if it is a sad story or a challenging news or clarity or secrets, mysteries on the other side of this, like secrets that are being revealed from long times past, maybe, that you had no idea about. Like, you can transmute that. And here it is. Here's where that personal story comes into play. It doesn't have to be a sad story when you tell it. It can be a story of empowerment and of grace and gratitude and victory, of overcoming, of superseding your challenges, even the ones that you didn't even know you had, the ones that have become revealed, where there have been resistances that you didn't even know you were fighting against. So I guess it all, as it always does, comes down to a matter of perception when it comes to whatever this revelation may be, how you perceive it, how you integrate with it or allow it to be integrated with your personal truth, and then how you more or less like activate it for, back to the original message, for the purposes of love, light, liberty, and luxury. Not necessarily in that order, but maybe so. Whatever you fancy, but the wholeness of all four and then some, whatever else matters to you. So there it is right there. But this is definitely like this could even be some like secret inheritance, or some that's about to be revealed, or some money that's been like reserved, or some type of prosperity or gifts, or I don't know, like a trust or something with this 10 of Pentacles that's been on reserve or been preserved. It seemingly has been hidden, but I feel like the here it is, the transmutation of the revelation, where you might get the news that something has been so-called hidden or kept from you, but the uptick of it and how you receive it is that it's been preserved for you for the perfect time, a divine time. For some, maybe if you would have received a certain fortune or windfall at a less mature, less evolved time in your life, you may have squandered it, or you may not have known what to do with it. You may have spent it on a whole bunch of people that you thought were your family and friends, only to find out that there was some great opposition in your auric field that didn't really deserve to be shared with. Certain things you couldn't have known with less revelation, less information at a certain time. But now there's a certain understanding and understanding, maybe even an overstanding, if you like that word, of the big picture, to make this a more vital time for this dispensation, where it can be again integrated wholeheartedly and conserved, reserved, and even invested responsibly, dare I say even wisely, So it's been held for a time, but for such a time as the divine time, so that whatever it's been reserved for, it would be properly dispensed for that purpose, even if the purpose is just you. That now you are in a position to be able to fully receive it and know exactly what to do with it. And I think I did see the Queen of Pentacles as well at one point. Yeah, I did. The Queen of Pentacles. So anyway, that's the message today. It was kind of like a mixed bag, but I think it kind of all comes together in some way, shape, or form, even the opposition to the competition and all that, because maybe you are the competition, or you're about to be, and it's attracting, opposition to you that you may not even know about just yet, or maybe you do, or maybe it's just a revelation at this time to kind of just poise yourself for it, but poise yourself in a way to know where you stand, and that your quality has been tested, tried, and true. Like there really is no competition in whatever lane it is that you are embarking on, or whatever lane you're in at this time, especially in the lane of being yourself. Like you don't even have to subscribe to opposition in that regard, because there actually maybe it could even be family and friends that are opposed to this dispensation, maybe jealous of how your life is going or how you're living compared to what they're experiencing. May feel like you don't deserve good fortune or to have peace and prosperity in your life, and so on and so forth. And it's just like, stay like that designer brand, foundational on your principles, firm on your foundational principles, I should say, and just committed to quality. That's it. That's a winning strategy in every era, in every dimension, across all timelines, realms of reality. It is so, and so it is. All right. So I'm going to leave that there. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful week ahead of you. What are we in? Tuesday? Oh, happy 11/11 again, indeed. And until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.